Hello racers! In today's video we will be talking about the Lile Regional Qualifier and about a deck that we chose, so Han2 ECL. The tournament was organized in Lille. It was the biggest tournament to date, and 860 players competing for the top 8 tickets to Vegas. It was 9 rounds day 1, 4 rounds day 2. And the biggest emphasis was into the qualifying into the top 8 that came after. So we chose a deck that was mostly focused on beating everybody in the Swiss stage, and it was Han2.
Yeah, so we decided to pick our OG Han2 ECL for this tournament. So yeah, this is the deck that we played back in set 2. It got out of the meta because of Boba and Django in set 3, but with Django gone, now in set 4, this deck actually came back, and it's quite good in the current meta. Obviously, as all decks right now, it has some bad matchups. I would say Anaki is actually quite difficult, and Quinlan to some degree if he draws many force throws. But I would say overall, I am very happy with this deck in the current meta with how strong it is. So that's why we decided to run it.
Yeah, and so let's go through the deck list. Let's start with 1-drops. Compared to the deck list we were running before, we decided to reduce one of the 1-drops. So now we are running only 9 units, Maz, R2, and Soldier. It gives you the possibility of going triple 1-drop, but in current meta, this opening is not as good as it was before. But those units are still really powerful just as an addition to most plays, because R2 and Soldier you can play for free. And then they can get a lot of value just by blocking Power of the Dark Side or different strategies that wants your opponent to kill one of your units. And Maz, for 1 mana, she's a must-kill unit. And the fact that we can also, after her play, almost any unit with the reduction means that she will either be killed and the opponent will spend resources dealing with her, or she will grow to the point where that 1 mana would give you the amount of stats compared to like 3 or 4. And lastly, for 1-drops, we are running Heroic Sacrifice as the only event in the deck. It's just the heroic sacrifice of the deck. It has an amazing synergy with K2, but for me the biggest power of the card is that it not only gives buff that we can trade up or attack base, but the card advantage, because most likely when you're racing, when you attack with a unit, you don't really expect to attack with it again. So the fact that it dies is not that big of a deal, but that additional card can help you search for like the last squeezing of damage or a card that can stop the opponent.
Yeah, and then we have 2-drops. With 2-drops, we have 2 standard cards, so Marine and Sabine. Those cards are staple in those colors. So yeah, pretty much self-explanatory. And then we have Heroic Renegade, who with Tarkin Town seems as a card that is not that well positioned to current meta, but whenever you play against any Tarkin Town deck, you can just play him as a 2/3. And that's actually still completely fine. And then if you find yourself facing something that doesn't have Tarkin Town or access to pinks, like Han Green, for instance, or Sabine, you can easily play him as a 4/1, which can push a lot of damage, and especially those two matchups that can be a very viable strategy. And we also have the Scanning Officer. Scanning Officer is the card that actually had quite a lot of value because of the surprise factor with her. So going to Leo, our goal was to make it top 8. And before top 8, deck lists were not public. Like obviously someone was saw you playing a deck in the previous rounds, he could spot some cards, like the Scanning Officer or whatever. But in general, the opponent was not expecting her. So yeah, Scanning Officer is definitely the type of card that can get quite a lot of value with the surprise factor. And she's actually quite well positioned into current meta. So she's very good against Han and Quinlan, which are two very popular decks in the current meta. And also, you can play her versus Sabine or Anakin because they have still the Cassians and some other smuggles like Timely Intervention. So Scanning Officer is definitely the type of card that, with the surprise factor, was a good idea to run in the tournament.
Yeah, and she also opened up the fact that we now could run other cards in the sideboard. And let's go to free drops. With free drops, I think they are one of the most important part of this deck. So the first one is Blue Leader. Blue Leader can be played as a turn 1 removal, turn 2 removal, turn 3 as a 5/3 ambush on the ground, and 5/3 ambush is actually really well positioned into the current meta because it not only kills Sabine, but also can clear Yoda, Client, so a lot of really powerful and annoying units to deal with. And lastly, you can also play him as a 5-drop on the hand flip to just clear a unit that's blocking the way. So like Blue Leader is a really strong card, but I think Han to utilize it to the fullest. Next, we have Cassian. Cassian is an auto-include in any heroic red deck. The fact that he's overstated and can be played on turn 1 as a second Battlefield Marine, turn 2 as a just sturdy 3/5 that can dodge Tarkin Town, or on 5 resources as a ready unit that basically draws you a card from Smuggle, makes it one of the most versatile cards in the game. And lastly, the card that, for me, changed a lot of really important matchups, so Sabine Masterpiece. With ECL, Sabine Masterpiece is really good into space decks. So for example, if Han2 plays any of the Millennium Falcons turn 1, and if you played any green unit, you can ECL Sabine Masterpiece turn 2 to clear the Falcon. Sabine Masterpiece will still be alive as a 4/1, and then later it will still be able to trade or generate insane value, getting experience and that 1 damage every single turn is something that needs to be removed almost immediately. And also versus some decks, for example, versus Ray or Sabine Data Vault, you can play Sabine Masterpiece as a turn 1 play because they don't really have a removal for it. And then later, if you play like red and green unit, it can generate really big values. So I think those 3 free drops is one of the really big part of why this deck is so powerful.
Yeah. Next, we have K2. So basically 4 drops. K2 is the type of card that was a staple for a very long time. With the No Glory now only results, this card lost a little bit of value, but surprisingly not as much, just because he's still very good into any matchup where No Glory is not a problem, just because the opponent doesn't have access to those colors. But even against No Glory decks, you can still run K2 and play him as a free drop, especially against hard control. That's completely a valid choice. And also, you can still play him later, and if the opponent has the No Glory, then it's not the most ideal, but if they don't, then he still gives you a value. So yeah, K2 is still a viable card to run, and also have the synergy with Heroic Sacrifice. Next we have Poe. Poe, who is basically a free drop in this deck, just because you can play him using Khan's ability on the ground. He enters with 2 damage, but he has when played ability that allows him to pilot the X-Wing that he creates when he's played on the ground. So those 2 damage that he enters with are basically completely mitigated that way. So you play a 3 mana for 5 in space, which is all the value, early in the game. But you can also play him sometimes as just a 2 mana +2/+2/+3 as a pilot, or you can play him as a 4 mana 3/3 on the ground with 2/2 spaceship in space. Also, yeah, he's just a very versatile card all around. Playing him for 3 mana is the best use case, but yeah, you can play him in other ways as well. And then we have Darksaber. Darksaber is a quite good equipment, even though in this deck we don't have that many Mandalorians, basically only Sabine and Disabling Fangfighter in sideboard. But that's not the primary use of Darksaber. You want to get that +4 power buff, and also the +3 HP, and it allows your units to trade quite well. Like if you play Darksaber on your leader, it's quite good combination, just because then your leader has 7 power and 9 HP, so he can basically kill any leader. So Quinlan, Anakin, and basically any leader that is currently popular. He doesn't kill the 8 HP and higher HP leaders, but it's not really a problem, just because those matchups are quite easy for Han. And also he has the 9 HP, so he's quite difficult to kill. Upgrade Hate is definitely annoying, so you probably don't want to play this card into open mana, but if the opponent already spent his resources, then Darksaber becomes a very good choice to play on.
Yeah, and there is always a question if you run General's Blade or Darksaber, but I think in this situation the fact that Han only has 3 attack and it puts him to 7 makes it much better versus the hardest matchup, so Anakin and Quinlan. Next, let's go to the 5 drops. Like Poe is auto include, I think, with any ECL deck that can run him. It's one of the most powerful plays you can do, especially when your leader flips on 5. It's a really good follow-up, or it's a really good first action you can make on 5 resources. And the fact that he also synergized with K2 with a discard strategy makes it really versatile. In addition to the fact that in the current meta, upgrade hate is a really big part of the game because of the pilots, because of the Sabine and Darksabers. So Poe is I think Poe is even stronger than he was, and even before he was one of the strongest cards in the game. Next, we have Ayla Secura. This is one of the decks that almost always will have coordinate. So Ayla is basically like similar to Plo Koon in Quinlan. It's a 6 power unit that like she's the strongest if you use her with ECL, but in many matchups I was playing her on 4 or even on 5 without ECL, because if my opponent didn't clear her, the fact that she will always attack and not receive any damage is a really big benefit. And having her on board basically stabilizes the trading in the fact that your opponent either needs to kill her with an event, because whenever they will play a unit, I would just trade up without losing anything, having her on board. And lastly, Adelphi Patrol Wing as a one-off. This card is a little bit like an event. If you have initiative, it gives +2 attack and allows you to make an attack. This was really a big deal, mostly because action economy in some matchups is really important. For example, versus Sabine, you could play him on 4 resources to really quickly take initiative, and then have on 5 resources start with ECL. So this was one case that Adelphi was really useful, but the biggest part, and why we also have it in sideboard, was versus Quinlan. Quinlan doesn't really have anything to kill spaceships, and especially spaceships that are 4/4 or better, because his space is low statted, so 3/4, and his removal is like force throws and waylays and bamboozles are not really what he wants to do. So Adelphi was a really good play on 4 resources versus Quinlan. It also allows you to, if you, for example, played Cassian on turn 2, then you took initiative, Cassian could trade up into any 4-drop that they played with the buff from Adelphi Patrol Wing.
Yeah, and then we have 6 drops, Wrecker, kinda staple in those colors, as well as Poe and Cassian. And also Guerrilla Attack Pod. Guerrilla Attack Pod synergizes very well with Han's ability, so we can play him as a 5 mana, 6/4 unit that enters play ready, because in a lot of cases when you play him, the opponent already has 15 damage on his base, so he enters ready, and attacking for 6 when the opponent has already half HP is quite a lot of value, so the pod is quite good in those cases. It's a little bit more inconsistent, so that's why we have him only as a one-off, but his TO performs quite well in those specific situation. And then going to the sideboard, we have the Disabling Fang Fighters, kind of staple in sideboard because there is a lot of upgrades in the meta. Pilots, the bounties from Bosk, as well as the equipments. Fang Fighters solves all of those problems. Chamsandula is also quite good into current meta with all soft control decks like Kira's, and also against Han decks, just to counter his ramp, and also he's even better in Han2, just because you can play him either on 3 resources or 4 resources, and that makes using the opponent's Han ability way more tricky, just because he can't really use it during those 2 rounds at all. And then we have the Adelphi Patrol Wing and Desperado Fighter. Both of those units basically fulfill the same role. They're quite good for Quinlan matchup, as Beton said previously, just because Quinlan has quite a big trouble to deal with those units, because his units only deal 3 damage, and the removal is also not particularly good at clearing 4 HP units. So yeah, those 2 are great against Quinlan. And then we have the Choose Sides. Choose Sides is basically good against any slower matchup. So if the opponent has access to Avengers, to Luke Skywalker, to Great Dragons, to Home Ones, like basically any big units in late game, Choose Sides can handle those. So yeah, it was very helpful because we have so many 1-drops in this deck. Not maybe like 9 is maybe not nothing crazy, but it's good enough to the point where you can easily play like using Khan's ability R2 or 5 over Soldier, and then use Choose Sides on several resources to steal the opponent's look, which was a play that I did quite a few times during the Lile.
Yeah, I would also add that's why we are not running like 2 Adelphi, but split between Adelphi and Desperado. It's a small difference, but it's mostly because Kira cannot block both of them versus Quinlan, and Desperado also trades up with Millennium Falcon for 6, which Adelphi doesn't do. So both of them, even though like are versus for the same matchup, they can play around different cards in the same matchup. Okay, so next let's talk about how we did in the tournament, what were our matchups, and like how the deck handled the matchup, and what we did to win or lose it. So let's start with my round 1. I was paired with Obi-Wan Green. It's quite an easy matchup because Obi-Wan has a really big trouble of getting early into the board. So I can, if I play really good opening, I can stabilize really early, and then with units like Ayla or like Wrecker, I can just dominate the ground to the point that he will never be able to play anything except like reactive plays of removing my stuff. So those 2 games were quite quickly won by me.
Yeah, and for me, round 1 was also quite fast. So actually, I faced off against one of our viewers. So after I said hello, after sitting at the table, he told me hello racers. So yeah, it was quite funny. But so yeah, shout out to him. And then the games were quite easy for me, and the reason for that is just because I had a really good game plan going against Han1. Like with those Scanic officers in main deck, they really helped me in that matchup. So yeah, he couldn't really do much in during those games.
Yeah, my second game was versus Ray Data Vault. It was actually Yosera that managed to get top 8 with his, like, as always, really unique deck, 62 cards. So it was quite hard to win. Not because the matchup is extremely hard, but mostly because whenever you play a really good, experienced players, no matter what he plays, those games will not be easy. I've lost game 1 because of a horrible misplay. I had decision in resourcing between Poe and K2 because I have R2D2, Poe for 5 mana, Poe for 5 mana, and K2, those 4 cards. And I decided to resource K2 because I wanted to play Poe with Han's ability. I knew the unit will die, but then I will follow this up with Poe on the next turn with ECL. So that was my game plan, but Yosera played. I not really remember what he did, but he did something that I really didn't want to play Poe. In this action, I wanted to stall an action. So I thought, oh, I will just play R2D2 with Han's ability. Uh, and when I did it, he made an action, and then I was like, oh, but I already used my ability. I will not be able to use it again. So I have a dead 4 resources. Yeah, which is a really big blunder. It basically lost me game 1. That was I was really in favor of winning game 1, but game 2 and game 3, Yosera had a really poor openings. I managed to get really big advantage on the board and win from that. The third game took a little bit longer, so he managed to play his big stuff, but I was still controlling the board, even though when he played like Luke or Home One, and I just managed to finish the game before his value engine gave him enough of the advantage to remove everything on my board.
Yeah, and for me, round 2 was also quite challenging. So I faced off against Ray Tarkintown, and Tarkintown's obviously a quite difficult base, and in general, a red blue hero is actually quite tricky combination for Han2 ECL to deal with. Especially game 1. So game 1 he opened with Moisture Farmer, and then he played Entrenched on her. So that was yeah, basically that won him the whole game. He was able to trade up with basically anything that I played on the ground. So game 1 I didn't have much to say. Luckily, game 2 and game 3 went my way. Game 3 I was a little bit lucky just because his draw was not that great. So yeah, basically very tough matchup and extremely close games.
Yeah. And next in my round 3 was Sabine ECL, matchup that I really wanted to play a lot. It was the most popular deck coming to the tournament, and it's for me one of the easiest matchup for Han 2 because we play really similar cards. Han just has better early game because I can play Marine and the 1-drop, or I can play Cassian as another set of Marine, and Marine in this matchup is one of the best openings, especially for Sabine, because if she starts with, for example, Sabine unit, I would just ECL it. And then Blue Leader also made this matchup really, really tricky for Sabine because she can never deploy Sabine into open mana. So it was really, really quick 2-0. Also, the second factor is that Sabine is a deck that can win with anything, but you need to know what is your game plan. And because nobody really expected Han2, we had a game plan versus Sabine, but she didn't have a game plan versus us.
Yeah, for me, round 3 was also not the most difficult, so I faced off against Kira Data Vault. Basically, I just was able to control all the big threats. Like I was able to ECL eyeline to Kira, so I was able to control board relatively well. Also, the guy bricked quite a lot. So like in one of the games, he completely bricked his free drop. So yeah, he definitely got quite a bit of unlucky. So I was able to punish that, and yeah, those games were not really close because of that.
Yeah. Then I faced Ray Tarkintown. This is a matchup that I really didn't want to see because if Ray starts with R2D2 or Moisture Farmer with an upgrade, and then access to Tarkintown, plus the fact that Luke unit is really hard to be removed for our deck, meant that this matchup is really hard. I lost one of the games because R2 into Yoda into Forced Throw into Pillage completely bricked my hand, but I've managed to stabilize uh, the other games early onto the ground, and then actually Sabine Masterpiece came in clutch because Ray didn't have anything to remove it, and in both games it just generated enough value to push me to victory.
Yeah, and for me, for round 4, I faced off against Han2 ECL, and this is one of the games that showed that yeah, when the opponent doesn't know what you're running, you can get quite a lot of value. So the guy was had no idea what I will play. He even told me that before the game started. So yeah, I was able to just basically outvalue him. He was he I if I recall correctly, he even passed in one of the games, which I was very comfortable with, just because with Han's ability I can fill the board quite quickly if I have access to more cards in hand. So in one of the games, I know he went into space, but I was able to race with him quite effectively. So yeah, he didn't really have much to say during those games.
Yeah, and my round 5 was against another player that is well known, so Jonas Nicholas, a winner of Leiden PQ. Uh, he's a really, really good player, but unfortunately for him, we had a really well prepared matchup for Han 1 Green. Uh, he won game 1 with ramp, and then like overwhelming me with 7 drops using reinforcements. But game 2 and game 3, after sideboard, after adding Fangs and Champ Sindula, there was basically nothing he could do. He tried ramping in one game. I matched his ramp with Cham, and then ECL Han completely dominated the board, uh, and he couldn't recover even with like really like playing home ones and those stuff. The amount of advantage that I had on the board was too big. And last game he played around Cham, but even without it, uh, if we go equal, if Han doesn't like cheat stuff in, I can just put Ayla with ECL, remove Han, and then just do it again and again whenever he plays. So even though I lost game 1, I still felt really comfortable, and I managed to win 2-1.
Yeah. So for me, round 5, I faced against Sabine. So here I had similar concept to the previous round. So my opponent didn't really know how to play it against Han2. So he was trying to control my board, which he did um, well to some degree. But yeah, not enough. Like he even though he tried, I was able to push enough damage, and then like I used the ECL to ECL Sabine unit and deal the last HP that he has with her own attack abilities. So yeah, he tried to control the board, but it didn't work out for him.
My round 6 was semi-mirror because it was Han2 but Data Vault. And even though we played the same colors, both decks play completely differently. Han2 Data Vault is basically a value deck. You ramp, you play big stuff, and I just raced both games him really quickly. In this matchup, actually, Heroic Renegade was a key to my victory because I played Maz and Renegade turn 1 in game 1. He killed my Renegade, but left Maz alive, and Maz ended up as a 7-7 at the end of the game. And game 2, I had a really similar opening, Maz plus Marine, and he had to clear Maz because after game 1, I think he was scared of it, but it gave me time to just turn 2 play another 2 units and just push enough damage to finish the game before he plays like walkers and stabilizes the HP.
Yeah, and for me, round 6 was another Kira. This time around, it was a Polish player from Warsaw, a friend of mine, and yeah, the game were quite similar to the Kira that I faced before. This he didn't break as much as the previous guy, but I was still able to control board quite effectively. One of the funny plays that he made was because I was able to clear his units. He played overwhelming barrage on Pershing just because he didn't had any other targets, which was quite funny. But yeah, game 1 was quite smooth, and then game 2 was actually very long. But in the end, I was able to close the game with pause on attack ability.
Yeah, and then round 7, sadly we were matched versus each other. It was like the games were extremely close. I think every single one came down to a top deck or one card that was giving lethal. You won game 1. I've managed to win game 2 with 2 heroic sacrifices, and then game 3 was decided by a wrecker on 6th turn, and I missed like lethal by top deck. I could have top decked heroic sacrifice for the win, but I didn't. So yeah, this in this tournament, Sip managed to win. Like the mirror, it's not that often that we faced each other, so it's like basically a payback for Milan. So yeah, it was a really well played.
Yeah. So going to round 8, I played against Han Green. So as we already said, Han Green is a matchup that we feel very comfortable. We have answered to anything that the opponent can do. So game 1, he was trying to go to space, and I was able to race him on the ground. Game 2, he tried to play a little bit slower, but that didn't work out for him either. And by the way, if you want to check that game, it should be available. It was streamed, so it should be available on either YouTube or Twitch of the organizers.
Yeah, and my round 8 were versus a unique player because it was the player that did day 2 with Obi-Wan in Lille and in Liverpool. So experienced player, and to this tournament he decided to play Quinlan ECL. And even though Quinlan Tarkintown can be a really hard matchup, and it's close to 50-50, Quinlan ECL, on the other hand, felt much easier. I didn't play versus this deck a lot, and he also played a lot of like unique cards. But in the end, even though I lost game 1 to really big advantage of like when I couldn't kill Quinlan when he deployed, I didn't have Poe or Wrecker or like any ECL to kill him, and his pings with Cobb Vanth and Query just stabilized the board to the point that whenever I played something, it was dying. But game 2 and game 3, when I've added the Fangs and Charms and Space, were smooth sailing.
Yeah. And then round 9. In round 9, I faced off against other teammates. So this time it was I'm So Humble, who is the part of the team Enigma. He was playing Quinlan. So game 1, I had basically perfect plays. I was able to play a Marine turn 1, turn 2 Poe, turn 3 Poe, and then on 5 Isla, if I recall correctly. I had basically perfect curve game 1, so he couldn't really handle those. And then in game 2, basically deciding factor during that game was Canic Officer. So if I recall correctly, we skipped turn 1. On turn 2, I played Poe, he played Ezra, I think. And then he had initiative on 4 resources. He started by attacking with Ezra. He after the game he told me that with Ezra he saw Plo Koon. He kept the Plo Koon on the top of his deck, and then I played Scanning Officer, and I picked 3 of his resources, and I managed to find 3 smuggles. It was Cassian, Blaster, and L3. So the Plo Koon went straight to the resources. And with free tapped resources, he didn't have anything to play during that round. I was able to play another 2-drop. So yeah, that basically won me the game.
Yeah. And round 9, so this is the moment when I knew that I already qualified for day 2. And I've played Han2 Yellow. I knew what the deck will be trying to do. I knew it will be a really aggressive space aggro, most likely. But not only this deck was quite hard to play, the fact that I had no idea what he can have. So in game 1, he basically went space, pilot on space, surprise strike, sneak attack fleet, surprise strike, and finished me before I could raise him. And game 2, I expected similar playstyle, but game 2 I got hit with Grogu, Ezra, force throw, Ahsoka, and he hit my hand enough that I just couldn't handle the pressure. I think it was the biggest loss I did during the tournament. I felt that I didn't really have a way to play. I know if I played this matchup more, I would find the way to play it correctly. But like during the event, it was the hardest loss for me.
Yeah. And then going to day 2, my first opponent during the day 2 was Iden Yellow. So one of the ideas with Han2 ECL is the fact that every vast majority of the matchups are pretty good for you, but none of them are like heavily favored for Han2 ECL, with one exception, which is yellow hard control. Basically, that color doesn't have any answer to master one with another 1-drop or 2-drop. So yeah, in both games I opened. I'm pretty sure I know in game 2 I opened with mass plus double 1-drop. I jokingly said before the game started, when I was chilling with the other guys, that for the whole day I didn't manage to find a mass plus double 1-drop opening in none of the games. And Beton, I think he did it twice during the day 1, and then during the very first round on the day 2, I managed to find that opening, and the item player wasn't really able to clear that at all. So that game was basically was over very quickly, and the other game was a little bit closer, but yeah, still very tough for him. He played 2 blasts in a row and then Snog, but I had a Wrecker in my hand too with ECL for lethal. I dealt 5 damage to Snog and then 4 overwhelm to his base, which was enough to close the game.
Yeah, and my day 2 ended quickly. Uh, when we saw what decks are in day 2, we were quite happy because there were a lot of Sabines, and I wanted to really match up with any Sabine ECL or really other aggro ground deck. Unfortunately, I was matched up into Sabine Yellow, so another hyper aggressive race deck, and with those type of decks, there is nothing you can really do. It's not an auto loss. I think it's close to 50-50. But what I mean is that you cannot really play in and show your skill in a matchup when your opponent basically plays a unit, goes face, plays a unit, goes face, and they don't trade. They just every single action they do is designed to lower your HP. Game one, he managed to top deck for Echoes, I believe, in for little. It was a really close game. It was basically one action, and for Echoes was the only card that was giving him the win, but he did find it. Game two, I ECL'd Sabine Masterpiece early and managed to completely dominate the game. And game three, it was a really prolonged game. Even though he was really aggressive, I've managed to clear almost everything he played. But whenever he played something, he was still dealing damage because Millennium Falcon, even though I killed it in the next action, he dealt me 6 damage with Surprise Strike with it. Sneak attack into fleet dealt another 5, and I was really low on HP. Before the last turn, he had 1 card in hand, he had 2 units, and I was on 4 HP. He already used Sabine, so I attacked with Poe, I discarded his last card, I killed one of the units, so I left him with 1 unit that had 2 power in space, and since I was on 4, it basically meant that only a card that will deal me 2 damage plus the 2-drop. He said to me that his deck was built in a way that for Echoes, I believe in, were mostly dealing 3 damage. So I didn't want to play around for Echoes since he already played in that game. And I had a little with 1 action, but unfortunately he managed to top deck Surprise Strike, and it ended my run for top 8. But I still wanted to play one more round because there were additional prizes for top 16.
Yeah. For me, round 11, I faced off against Josera, so the Ray Data Vault player who Baton played against all the way back in the round 2 of the day 1. And yeah, the games were really close. Actually, the fact that he faced off Baton in the round 2 gave him quite a bit of information on what my deck has in it. Game 1, I was able to win quite easily just because he had very weak opening with only Alliance Dispatcher. I had Sabine, so even if he played most the Village Protector on turn 2, they would do basically nothing because they trade down with Sabine. So that was game 1. Game 2 was when Jostera won that game. It was a close game. Maybe not as close, but I felt relatively okay. But I didn't manage to find enough late game. During that game, I had a few unfavorable trades, and he also opened with R2, which was very good opening for him. And then in the third game, it was going very similarly to the second game. So he opened with R2 again. I opened with Masterpiece, and then on turn 2, I had 3 resources. My only play was Fang Fighter, so I decided to play that Fang Fighter to destroy the experience token from R2, and then I wanted to attack with the Masterpiece with the +1 damage because I played the red unit on the turn 2, but he answered that with Entrenched. And unfortunately, that Entrenched was very problematic just because I couldn't find a single upgrade hate for the rest of the game. So in the end, it turned out that I used my choose sides on that Masterpiece just because, it was a very long game. And at some point, I didn't have any other units. I was like, yeah, okay, let's just give this Masterpiece. And I took, I think it was Tech, because the game was very long, or it was Luke, I don't remember at this point, but one of those units. But it was 9 or 10 resource round ish territory. And then the time was called, so we went to termination, but none of us was able to close the game. But he had clearly a better board state. He had quite a few units, and there was no way I'll be able to win that game if we continued, if we had enough time. So, well, I decided to concede that game just because he had clearly he clearly won the game. Uh, Unfortunately, it cost me the top cut just because, yeah, if I took the draw and assuming the matchups went the way they went, I would probably be in the top 8. But yeah, that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, and my last round, so round 11, was versus Po ECL, another space deck. Uh, it's not a bad matchup. I think it's quite easy. It's easier than Sabine, but I didn't find a single space unit in both games. He played uh, black one, put a pilot on it, attacked phase, put another spaceship, put a pilot it, attack phase. And both games just ended really quickly. It were really anticlimactic because I felt like my draw was just not designed to beat it. So I've dropped after this round because I wanted to play the side event because there was nothing to play for. Because I wouldn't be able to get top 16, and prices between top 16 and top 64 were the same. So I decided to go play a draft, and at least for that, I've managed to win 3-0 with Ray Red in the draft. That was like
Rose.
really nice. Rose Red. It was a really nice experience. The organization of side events was really nice because you were buying the ticket, you were getting like the token that starts beeping whenever the player grouped. So really kudos to the organizers on how smoothly everyone was going.
Yeah. And for me, around 12, so I faced against Sabine Datavolt, the guy who I believe won the whole tournament. So yeah, Datavolt in this specific matchup gave him option to race, so he had more HP on his base, so it was very tough to race with him. So I tried to control his board. Unfortunately, he had very good openings. So in every single game, he opened with Battlefield Marine, which was his best unit to open the game. And also game one, he played the Red 5, which was it is another very problematic card for Han2. So yeah, the game one was basically over with that Red 5. Game two, I managed to win. Just like I just basically controlled his whole board, and so he couldn't do anything. And then game three, it was quite close. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to find Poe. If I had, then I could ECL him and clear both of his units, but unfortunately, I didn't. So I ended up losing that game. And then in the last round, I faced off against Anakin Blue. So yeah, quite a difficult matchup. It was a player who I knew already. I faced off against him actually in the last round of the Milan sector qualifier. So I knew the guy. He's playing quite well, and unfortunately, he had a very good. He was playing well, and he has the optimal play. So I couldn't really do much against him. I knew what my lines are, but unfortunately, they were not good enough to beat him. So I ended up losing that game 2-0. So yeah, quite unfortunately, after going 10-0, I ended up losing my last 3 rounds. So I ended up on the 10th place, just missing on the top cut.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how the tournament went for us. I still think the deck performed really well. I think it has a really good place in the meta. And especially now that Kira is more on the rise, and if Kira and Sabine will be the two most popular decks, Han2 for me has a really matchup into both. So if you have a lot of time, consider trying the deck. I say a lot of time because Han2 requires a lot of preparation. You need to learn basically every single matchup and how to play it. Because Han is one of the decks that a small mistake can cause you entire game, and not even the mistake like a misplay I did on with versus Yosera, but a misplay like uh, picking a wrong free drop to play can put you into the position that 5 turns later or 3 turns later you will lose the game because of the stat distribution that it had. So it's the deck that really requires a lot of time invested to play on a good level.
Yeah, and there is actually a good place to learn about the deck as well as other decks. So we have the Enigma Discord that was opened recently. So there you can find all of our Enigma members as well as other fans of the community of the team Enigma. And there you can chat with us and other members of the community about the deck list, the meta, spoilers, everything Star Wars Unlimited related. So yeah, we'll leave the link to the Discord in the description of the video, and feel free to join us.
Yeah, we have more than 500 members already, and two things that I really enjoyed, because we were also we create a special channel for the tournaments that we can update you guys live on how the tournament is going for us, and the second part was that Torque and Al were commentating the event. So they basically made a watch party with a lot of members and were like commentating on the stream with what they thought are the best plays and what they thought about the meta, which is really nice because even though I think the commentators were like really good for the event, like their knowledge of the game is lower than the top players. So having a perspective on like one of the top players commentating, I think gives it a lot of value. Lastly, I want to like thanks for the FFG and Funfinity, because I think the tournament was organized extremely well, even though it was close to 900 people. Place was not overcrowded. The lines were handled extremely well. Everything had its place, and you always knew where you should be and where the next like round or where the top 8 or the start of the tournament was happening. So not only that, like there were cosplayers and a lot of like additional activities you could do. So once more, thanks for the extremely well organized event.
Yep. And as always, we run our coaching. So if you're interested, send us an email or DM us directly on Discord. So during coaching, we do all sorts of things: deck building, tournament preparation, game reviewing, basically anything you need to improve on your Star Wars Unlimited knowledge. And the price is €25 per hour, as per usual.
Yeah. Thanks everybody, and see you in the next video.